Imagine coming home from vacation, suitcase still in your hand, jet lag hitting hard, and your backyard is just smaller. Your garden? Gone. Your storage shed? On the wrong side of a brand new fence. Your apple tree, the one you planted with your dad 12 years ago, now belongs to your neighbor. And that neighbor? She's the HOA treasurer. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she almost got away with it. Welcome back to HOA Karen Stories, where suburban power meets absolutely unhinged audacity. Today's story comes from a quiet cul-de-sac in a mid-sized American suburb, the kind of neighborhood with matching mailboxes, a Facebook group that's 40% passive-aggressive, and one person who treats the HOA board like a personal fiefdom. That person is Karen. Karen has been the HOA treasurer for 6 years. 6 long, suffocating years. She knows every bylaw, every deadline, every loophole, and she has used all of them. She coordinates the annual mulching event like she's planning a military campaign. She once filed a violation against a family for having a slightly too cheerful welcome mat. To outsiders, Karen looks like a dedicated community servant. To her neighbors, she is a 5'2" bureaucratic nightmare in khaki capris. I had lived next door to Karen for 4 years. Cordial but cautious. I kept my lawn tidy, attended the occasional HOA meeting, and minded my own business. I had a small but beloved backyard, a raised garden bed, a wooden storage shed, and one mature apple tree I'd inherited from the previous owners and had grown genuinely attached to. In early September, I left for a 2-week vacation. I asked my neighbor on the other side to keep an eye on things. What I did not anticipate was that Karen would use those 14 days to commit what can only be described as suburban property fraud. While I was gone, Karen hired a contractor. She told him she was replacing an old, rotting fence along the property line between her yard and mine. She showed him a hand-drawn map, casually, like it was nothing, and said it was the official survey document. The contractor, presumably not a licensed land surveyor and certainly not paid to ask questions, did his job. He installed a brand new 6-foot wooden privacy fence, clean posts, fresh cedar planks. It looked completely legitimate. It was placed exactly 4.2 feet inside my actual property line. That shift absorbed my entire raised garden bed, my storage shed, and the apple tree. Just like that, Karen's backyard got a little bigger. When I came home, I thought I was losing my mind. I walked my property twice, 3 times. I called my neighbor, who confirmed that yes, a crew had been out there for 2 days while I was away. I knocked on Karen's door. Karen answered with the calm confidence of someone who had rehearsed this moment. She produced the hand-drawn map, a piece of paper with property lines sketched in pencil, with no official stamp, no surveyor's seal, no legal authority whatsoever, and told me, with a straight face, that my shed and garden had always been on Karen's property. Before I could even process that, Karen went further. She filed a formal HOA complaint, claiming I was trespassing on her land and storing structures on a neighbor's property without permission. The HOA board, stacked with Karen's longtime allies, including her book club co-host and the guy she helped get elected as vice president 2 years ago, reviewed the complaint with remarkable speed. Within 10 days, I received a violation notice, then a second one. The board sided with Karen entirely. I was told to remove my shed from Karen's property at my own expense or face escalating fines. The apple tree, the board noted, was now Karen's concern and no longer my problem. I stood in my own backyard, looking at a fence that had eaten 4 feet of my life, holding a violation notice for property I genuinely owned, and realized I was going to have to fight this the right way. I hired a licensed land surveyor, a real one, with credentials, equipment, legal standing, and absolutely no interest in Karen's pencil drawing. The surveyor spent several hours on the property, pulled county records, cross-referenced the original plat, and produced an official, legally binding survey report. The fence encroached on my property by exactly 4.2 feet. Not approximately, not roughly, exactly. I filed a property encroachment dispute in civil court. I brought the survey, the violation notices, the hand-drawn map Karen had presented as evidence, and a timeline of every interaction since I came home from vacation. Karen showed up to the first hearing with her own documentation, which, under any meaningful scrutiny, dissolved immediately. There was no official survey backing her claim. There never had been. Here is where it gets even better. During the discovery process, my attorney started pulling records on Karen's property history. They found something remarkable. Karen had pulled this exact same scheme on 2 other neighbors, one in 2019, one in 2021. Both times she had fences installed while neighbors were away or distracted. Both times she had presented informal maps as surveys. Both times the affected homeowners had grumbled, felt confused, and ultimately never formally challenged her. They assumed she must have been right. She had been the treasurer, after all. She seemed so sure of herself. My attorney contacted both neighbors. They were, to put it mildly, interested in what I had found. The court ordered the fence removed within 30 days at Karen's sole expense. I was awarded damages for the garden, the shed, the legal fees, and the documented stress of being issued HOA violations for my own property. Karen's 2 previous victims filed a joint lawsuit, and the HOA board, which had issued those violations against me, sided with a fraudulent hand-drawn map and facilitated the whole thing, was suddenly very aware of its own legal exposure. The fence came down. The contractor Karen originally hired was quietly horrified to learn what his work had actually been used for. The apple tree survived. The garden bed was restored. The shed was undamaged. Karen did not take it well. She resigned from the HOA board before they could vote to remove her, which was maybe the last shred of dignity she managed to preserve. The HOA, facing liability for issuing violations based on fraudulent documentation and for a board that had acted in bad faith, settled the joint lawsuit from the 2 other affected neighbors. Total payout, over $22,000. That came out of the HOA's reserve fund, meaning every homeowner in the community paid for Karen's scheme through increased dues and reduced amenity budgets. The neighbors know exactly why. Karen still lives in the neighborhood, which I notes with a kind of grim amusement. The new fence went up where the property line actually is. Karen's yard is now visibly, measurably smaller than it was for 3 years. My apple tree bloomed the following spring. I made an apple pie and enjoyed it. What this story is really about, underneath all the petty fury and cedar planks, is the quiet danger of unchecked authority in small, insular systems. Karen had power. She had allies. She had the confidence of someone who had never been challenged. And for years, across multiple victims, it worked. It only stopped when one person came home from vacation, looked at smaller backyard, and refused to accept someone else's pencil drawing as the truth. If this story made your blood pressure tick up even slightly, hit that subscribe button because we have a whole library of HOA chaos waiting for you. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had a neighbor try something like this? Or do you have an HOA story that needs to be told? We read every single one.